Alright everyone, welcome back. So we move on to our 2024 reviews today with the New Jersey Devils. So the Devils were a surprise this year, and by surprise, I don't mean a good one. They were really disappointing this year. A lot of people had them ranked really high. I had them winning the division, I believe, when I made my standings prediction at the beginning of last season. Well, did not go that way. They went 38, 39, and 5 for 81 points. They were 23rd in the NHL. Mind you, this team was coming off of a spectacular 22-23 season. They, I think, were second in their division, I believe, and they beat the Rangers in 7. They lost to the Canes in 5, but there was still a lot of positivity for what this Devils team could do in the future, and it's still there. It's still definitely there, but this is a year that you look at in a couple of years, and if this core never wins a cup, you'll look at this year and be like, man, How could we let that slip away from us? So they had a .494 points percentage, which was ranked 23rd. They scored 264 goals, led in 283 for a -19 difference. That's the biggest thing. And when I get into goaltending, that was arguably and probably was one of their biggest problems. Now, one thing people forget about when they mention the Devils is that they weren't particularly healthy either throughout a lot of this season. They had a lot of injuries that they dealt with throughout the entire season. I don't think they've had a fully healthy team here at all, except for the start of the season, to be honest. They were 21, 18, and 2 at home, and they were 16, 23, and 2 on the road. So, home record was solid, even though the one game that I went to, they lost. My first ever Devils game in Prudential Center, they lose 2-1 to the Columbus Blue Jackets. Yeah. 16, 23, and 2 on the road as well. The road record wasn't great. They scored 3.22 goals per game, which is 12th. So that was good. That was solid. Then they had a 3.43 goals against, which is 27th. They were down there with teams like Columbus and Anaheim, like teams that were just god-awful. And they were one of the teams that was like, they were good, but still the goaltending played a massive role in why they weren't great this year. They had a 22.43 power play percentage, which is ranked 13th. That's good for a team that didn't make the playoffs. And 80.7 penalty kill percentage, which is 10th. That's pretty good too for a team that did not make the playoffs. So it screams to me even more that the issue that this team dealt with this year was just goaltending. Like, you look at the numbers, like a lot of the offensive numbers were solid. Like they scored a good amount. They had a good home record. They had a good power play and penalty kill. Their goals for was above average. It shows that like the goaltending was just the biggest issue. It just screams it to you when you look at the team stats. So that's one thing you got to look at too. But I think that shows that they probably will be back in it next year. I think that whether or not they make like a goalie change or they just keep the guys they have, I do think they'll be back in it next year. It would shock me if they didn't make the playoffs next year. That would show that they might need to do some other changes. But I think that this team is still close, and I think that next year could be another good year for them if they make the playoffs. So looking at individual scores here, you got Jesper Bratt with 82 games played, 27 goals, 56 assists for 83 points. Bratt had a great year. There's really nothing else to say. He was one of the guys who actually played a full 82-game season. There's not many of those guys on this list. There wasn't a lot of players who played a full season. Jack Hughes, one of the guys that was hurt. Only 62 games played, 27 goals, 47 assists, 74 points. I remember during that time frame without Hughes, they weren't good. They just simply weren't. It shows the immense value that Jack Hughes has to the New Jersey Devils. It just screamed it to you when you looked at how they were without him. Nico Hischier, same thing. 71 games played, 27 goals, 40 assists, 67 points. He didn't miss a ton of time, only like 10 games. But still, the value those two guys bring. Hischier, your captain, a great two-way forward. Jack Hughes, offensively one of the better players in this league. So it's disappointing to see a lot of them hurt this year, and I think it also plays a factor in why they didn't make the playoffs either. This team definitely should have. And I think I look at the roster, the top-end talent, the defense. If it's fully healthy, they're a playoff team without a doubt. The goaltending was my one concern, but it wasn't like a massive concern for me because I thought that guys like Dawes and Schmidt and Vanacek played decent last year, and they looked good in the playoffs, but this year it wasn't it. Timo Meier, 69 games played, 28 goals, 24 assists, 52 points. I know Meier missed some time, but that contract could look bad. If he has another year like that next year, I think that contract is regarded as one of the worst contracts in the league. I mean, 52 points isn't bad, but for a guy that you're paying the amount of money that Meier is getting paid, I think you need to get some more production out of him. That's the biggest thing. So if Meier keeps playing like that, it's disappointing, honestly. Luke Hughes, 82 games played, 9 goals, 38 assists, 47 points. Hughes, good rookie year. Nothing bad to say about Luke Hughes. He's one of the positives on this team. I think that pairing him with Hamilton next season will work out well, and that's the biggest thing too. Dougie Hamilton missed the entire year with injury, or not the entire year. He missed the majority of the year with injury. So if you get Hamilton, your number one defenseman, back into the lineup, I'm saying this team is a bona fide playoff team. Honestly, I think even with Hamilton, they get over that. They get over the line. I don't know if they do anything in the playoffs because they would have played probably like the Rangers, but still, they would have been better off with Hamilton on this roster. Eric Haula, 76 games played, 16 goals, 19 assists, 35 points. Not a bad year from Haula. Haula, I mean, he's not a guy you would expect to score like a 50-point year. He's a depth forward. He's not a guy that should be playing top-line minutes or second-line minutes. He's more of a third-line, fourth-line guy. So I'm not mad at a 35-point season there. What I am concerned about, though, is Dawson Mercer. Mercer had a great rookie season for the Devils last year, and it was part of the reason why they were so good in the regular season, made the playoffs. This year was not it. 82 games played, 20 goals, 13 assists, 33 points. Not good. Not good enough. It just simply, he didn't look like the Mercer we saw last year. And I get that there are a lot of players this year who went through sophomore slumps, like Matty Beniers in Seattle was a big example of that too. But still, Mercer just simply needs to be better than that. He does. He needs to be better than that next year if they want to get back in the playoffs. Eighth in scoring, Palat with 71 games played, 11 goals, 20 assists, 31 points. Honestly, he has not been the same since the injury. He hasn't been the same. Last year, he was out the majority of the year. This year, he played a lot but wasn't effective for the majority of that. So it's upsetting to see, especially from when I can remember when I was younger, watching you win back-to-back cups with Tampa just a few years ago. So it's disappointing to see that. But Palat, underwhelming year when you're looking at the numbers. Holtz I think is getting better, but still a long way to go. 82 games played, 16 goals, 12 assists, 28 points. I did say something in a video that I thought Holtz was a bust. With Holtz, I don't really know yet. I want to say he's a bust, but I think you can still give him time to wait and develop more. I feel like it's starting to show up more. I mean, he hasn't gotten a lot of lineup time. He's been playing a lot of third line, fourth line minutes, but was one of the guys to play a full 82-game season. I think that next year could be another really good year from him, but we'll see. Curtis Lazar is 10th in scoring now with 71 games played, 7 goals, 18 assists, 25 points. Lazar, depth player, nothing bad to say there, to be honest. But when you look in terms of guys who played a full season, only, I think, 4 in the top 10 played a full year. The rest of the guys, they either missed like a batch of 20 games, they missed like 10, but still, that's like 55, 60-man games lost overall. And you count in Dougie Hamilton, who wasn't even in the top 10 in scoring. It's an issue. And I think that even with that, even with the guys that were hurt and they still put up good offensive numbers, they had a good power play, a solid penalty kill, I think that shows that this team will be back in it next year. I know I said that a couple times so far this video, but I think that just screams to me they're going to be back in it next year. I genuinely believe that. But again, look back in a couple of years, and this could be just a wasted year. Really disappointing season overall. Now, they did fire Lindy Ruff halfway through the season. Or I guess not really halfway. It was like in March when they fired him. They brought in Travis Green as the interim. They got better under Green. They got closer to the playoff line, but still wasn't enough to get them over the line and into the playoffs. And now they have Sheldon Keefe as their new coach. I like that a lot. It's one of my favorite coaching hirings that I've seen so far. So hopefully with Keefe, that'll mean things will get better. So in terms of goalies, here's the weird thing. I have Kokkonen and Allen on the board here as well. I didn't put Danachek up here because I didn't know how to measure him properly. But Kokkonen, 7.24 and 3, a 3.64 and a .898. Most of that was with San Jose, so I'm not going to get too mad at that. Jake Allen of Montreal / New Jersey, 12, 18, and 4, a 3.44 and a .895. The fact that you're at the trade deadline, and I understand that it's hard to go out and get goalies, but your best options are Allen and Kakkonen. Really? If this team misses the playoffs next year and they don't make an effort to get the goalie in the offseason this year, I think Fitzgerald gets fired. I know he just signed an extension, but how the hell do you look at this tandem and say that that's a good tandem? Like, I don't understand. There's been talks of them bringing in Jacob Markstrom. When that happens, I'll make a video on it. But still, you just can't run with this tandem. You have to try and fix it and do something else. I understand it's hard to go out and get goalies, but still. Nico Dawes, 9 and 11, a 3.15 and a .894 was not good. He was not great this year. He was one of the guys, too, that was looking at to be like a solid goalie in the future. Schmid, 5, 9, and 1, a 3.15 and a .895. A little bit better, and by a little bit I mean 0.1 better, or 0.01 better than Schmid or Dawes, but still, you want more. You need more. And I think the fact that this team went through not 1, not 2, but 5 different goalies this season it shows that you need a long-term solution, and it can't be, and it shows it can't be one of these young guys. Maybe as a backup, maybe you go on to get Markstrom, you keep like Schmidt or Dawes as your back, or even Kakkonen or Allen as your backup. That I'm fine with, but none of these guys are tandem goalies. You can't run a tandem with Schmidt and Dawes. You can't run a tandem with Allen and Kakkonen. Can't do that. None of them are starting goalies either. So you need to go in and get a good starting goalie. There's some on the market. I know it's hard to go out and get one because of the price, but Jacob Markstrom clearly wants to come here, and I think it makes sense for the Devils to go out and get someone like him, a guy who isn't like a high-end goalie. You could argue it for sure, but he's not a Vezina goalie at this rate in his career, but he's still a good goalie, and I think that honestly you could get him back into the Vezina conversation if he has a good year. So yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking the entire season. I understand that it's hard to go out and get a goalie, but still, you should make it at least a little bit more of an effort than Kakkonen and Allen. So in terms of ins and outs, guys who came in and left throughout the season, ins, Laguerre, Kakkonen, Allen, McDermott, a second, third, and a fourth. So they got some more capital back for the guys they moved out. Thompson, Toffoli, Vanacek, Miller, a third, a seventh, or actually third and 2 sevenths. So not bad. Not bad acquisitions. I mean, honestly, you want a goalie. That's the biggest thing that I said. But above all, I don't expect any of those guys to be back next year. Maybe like someone like McDermott, but I would highly doubt it. I think a lot of those guys just walk off in free agency. So, yeah. As in terms of the future, now I understand I just talked a lot about the regular season and the present. Let's talk about the future. So in the draft, which is about like 20 days from now, a little less than 3 weeks, they have the 10th overall pick. They have no second, 2 thirds, no fourth, 2 fifths, 1 sixth, and no seventh. The 10th will be a big benefit for this team, especially for a team that is expected to get back into it next year. Getting another top-end defenseman or a top-end forward really helps. And no, they won't select a goalie at 10th overall. That would blow me away. But it's a huge advantage for them because now they have another top 10 pick to get a solid forward or a good defenseman. Now, I think it does. The prospect line does fall off after the 12th overall pick, but they're fine. They should be able to select a decent player there. I have Silyev going 10th, but Silyev could go as high as 3rd. So, honestly, they could get... I really have no clue who I would say for them they could get because I have no idea who's going to be there at 10th. This is such an unpredictable draft for Devils fans who really haven't followed it. But by the way, I do have prospect previews up if you want to go look at those. So, UFAs and RFAs here. When you look at the guys who are expiring, Thomas Nosek, Chris Tierney, Nick DeSimone, Craig Smith, and Kaapo Kakkonen are your guys there. I had to look it up. It's Brendan Smith. Sorry for being unprofessional, Devils fans. But Nosek, I think maybe you keep him around as a good fourth line guy, maybe some depth, I guess. Tierney probably goes. DeSimone probably goes. Smith, maybe they keep him around. Kakkonen, I don't know. It depends on how they really want to run this goalie tandem. We shall see what they want to do with that. RFAs, Nolan Foote, Dawson Mercer, Cal Foote, and Ryan McLeod. Nolan Foote, they probably keep around. Mercer Mercer, we'll see what his contract looks like. Probably just a bridge deal. And then Calfoot and McLeod they'll let go of because of the sexual assault thing. But yeah, that's your UFAs and RFAs for this Devils team. That's your 2024 review for the New Jersey Devils, in fact. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below on this Devils roster. I said that they probably will go out and get a goalie. I would expect that. Maybe get a young forward. We'll see. But I think with the team being healthier and with maybe a new goalie tandem next season, I think they will be better and hopefully back in the playoffs for 24-25. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you all very much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to like, subscribe down below. I really appreciate it. But yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Adios.